So the warning on the dashboard now changed from yellow writings saying water pump temperature too low, water pump speed too low, to now a red warning saying engine temperature too high, stop vehicle now. Unfortunately, BMWs are wired a bit different. When the car notices a critical issue, you really have no control of that car. If it decides to shut off in the middle of the road, you have no options. Unlike some other cars where you'd say you will put AC to the maximum temperature so that the car can at least drive to somewhere where you'll be able to get rescue. With this car, there's nothing like that. Once the warning is in red, stop vehicle now, there's nothing you can do. So I remember I was on Thika Road, on the middle lane, on the express lane, and there's nothing I had to do. I had to put the vehicle on the side. I called a flatbed. The flatbed picked up the car, and we took it to the workshop. The cost for the flatbed was 4,000 bob, which is usually the cost for flatbeds doing town service. Now, even before the car got to the workshop, I was already 100% sure what was wrong with the car. It had been giving me warnings for a whole month that I kept ignoring. Now, we got to the workshop. I dismantled that water pump, and I ordered for a replacement pump. Now, a replacement water pump for BMW, and this is actually the price for a lot of engines on BMW, was 45,000. For reference, the water pump is this size. And it was 45,000. 45,000 is the price of a full engine on a Mazda Axela. The 1500cc ZY Mazda Axela engine is 45,000, and here I was buying a small gadget for 45,000. I thought that price was steep, but you really have no options. I, of course, reached out to my usual part dealers, asked them to send me a water pump. Someone called Prof sent me a water pump, and fortunately, he sent me a water pump. I remember the price was 25,000. This is because he advised, and I don't know if this is true, but he advised that the brand new water pumps that we buy will not last as long as an ex-Japan water pump that has been dismantled from another working engine. So he said, don't buy this brand new one. It is a Chinese make. It will die within a few months. Get this 25k one that I'm sending to you. It is an ex-Japan part and it will last you. I took his word for it. So he sent me the 25k water pump. I installed it. That pump is still the one running on this car from, that is 2020. It has not failed yet. So I spent 25,000. So I also bought coolant. Coolant was at 2k, and I bought a thermostat. Now, the thermostat that was in the car was still working fine. But the BMW manual recommends that when you are changing the water pump, change the thermostat too, because they will usually fail at around the same time. The thermostat on this car is also an electric thermostat. It is opened and closed electronically rather than by heat as in other cars. So the thermostat was brand new at 7,000. So if I add these, I spent 25 plus 7 is 32 plus 2, that is 34,000 on fixing the water pump issue on this car. In 2020 again, I did the usual service of 11,800. The car was fine for the rest of the year. We come to 2021, which is last year. Now, 2021 was also another time that this car got on a flatbed. And this car got, let me explain how this happened. I was in Tigoni close to Limuru. And this car, while moving, switched itself off. I tried restarting it. A few times it didn't start. Then after leaving it settled for a while, it started again. But then the car gave me a warning that my oil level is too low. I should top it up. Now, since I got this car, each time I've been doing service, I've never needed to top up even 100 ml of oil. It has never lost oil. But in this instance, the car had lost close to 2 liters of oil in just 2 days. So I topped up oil to the right level. It tells you on the iDrive system that your oil level is now at max. Let me also say that BMWs do not have a dipstick. You cannot measure your oil manually. It's the system that tells you how much oil you have. It uses an oil level sensor installed on the engine sump. I topped up oil, drove home. Right before I got home, the car gave me another warning that my oil level was dropping. I parked the car, checked on the bottom side. I didn't see any signs of an oil leak. I checked the signs of the engine on the top cover and on the timing cover. There were no signs of oil leakage. I checked on the exhaust to see if there is blue smoke to indicate that oil is getting into the combustion chamber and getting burnt. I didn't see any smoke. So I was left wondering, where is the oil going? It's not leaking. It's not getting into the combustion chamber. Got into the car again, drove home. As I was pulling up to the house, I had a loud burst. Boof! I opened the bonnet, and on checking the car, the coolant reservoir had burst into two and had spilled a milky substance. Now, for those guys who don't know, when coolant mixes with oil, it usually produces a milky substance. That hiyo mchanganyo looks like mixed tea, chai ya maziwa. It usually looks like that. So immediately I saw that, I knew the car's engine oil cooler had gone. Because the oil cooler has channels where coolant flows and oil flows, but they are never supposed to mix. There is a gasket in between that makes sure these two liquids never mix. But unfortunately, on this instance, those liquids were mixing. Again, I couldn't drive the car. So I got a flatbed. Again, I was charged 4,000. Went to the workshop, removed the old oil cooler and installed a new oil cooler. Of course, the oil cooler comes oil cooler with its gasket. Of course, added oil again, and also did a radiator flush before putting in coolant. The price for the oil cooler was 12,000. The price for the coolant reservoir tank, as I had told you, the tank burst into two. The price for the coolant reservoir was 7,000. Oil was 6,800, and coolant was 2K. A radiator flush was 1,500. That was to fix oil mixing with coolant. Now, if I do this calculation, that is 12 plus 7, that is 19, plus 2, 21, plus 1500, that is 22,500. So 22,500 plus 7,000, that is 29,500. I spent 29,500 in 2021 fixing the oil mixing with coolant issue. In 2021 also, I replaced all 4 tires on this car. This car had come with a BMW run flat tires. BMW run flat tires, it simply means even if you get a puncture, those tires do not deflate. They have a very thick sidewall. You can get a puncture in Nyeri, literally have a huge hole on your tire, and you drive from Nyeri all the way to Nairobi. Fine. But when replacing the tires, I did not replace this car with the BMW recommended run flat tires. Part of the reason I did so was, one, RFTs are really expensive. There are only like 2 dealers in the whole of Kenya who stock RFT tires. And when I checked up with them, per piece on this car was about 27,000. That means I would have had to spend about 27 times 4. That is about 101,000. 101,000 on all 4 tires. That was a bit high, but the biggest reason why I didn't replace it with run flats is the tires are good such that you can drive with them even with a puncture. But the disadvantage is, because those tires are so tough, they are very uncomfortable. They are very uncomfortable. So when you hit a pothole, all that shock is transferred to your body because the tire is too stiff. I chose to replace with normal all-weather tires and also got a spare tire. The price for those tires was, it's the normal price for 17-inch tires, which was about 9,000 a piece. That was in 2021. The car drove fine for 2021 till the end. We are now in 2022. Now, in 2022, that was about in January, after the Christmas holidays. I noticed that this side of the car was leaning on one side, was leaning like this. The car itself gave me an error warning that drivetrain error. The car is sitting on one side. So I took it to the workshop. We checked what it was, and we found out that this shock had completely leaked. What was surprising was, when driving this car, it has zero suspension noise. So I was a bit perplexed that this shock could be that bad and still not produce any sound. So I replaced a pair of front shocks on this car, which was 11,000 per piece. This was 22,000. I replaced them with a brand called Sachs, S-A-C-H-S. Sachs brand, a pair which came to 22,000. I also replaced the ABS sensor, ABS wheel speed sensor that was on this wheel. And the ABS sensor was a brand new BMW ABS sensor at 6,500. I got this sensor from a guy called Chase. He got it from Dubai, and I don't know how he got it, but he got it in one day. I told him in the morning, in the evening the plane had landed with the sensor. I don't know how that works, and up to this point, that is where I am at with the car. That is my full 5 years experience of BMW ownership. Something I forgot to mention is when I got this car, it had a mileage of 88,000 when I got this car. This car right now is sitting at a mileage of 168,500 kilometers, which means I have put about times two the mileage it had. I've put about the same mileage as the previous owner in Japan had. So that's all for my experience with this BMW, and this is not going to be a representative of all BMWs. As you know, this is an entry-level BMW. It will not have the same kind of costs as the X5 or X6 or even the X3. That is why I said that with BMW, I'm going to do 3 cars, and they are all going to be from different classes. I started with this, which is an entry level. I am going to go to now a diesel X5 and then cover the newer 2015 5 Series with the smaller turbo engine. And after getting done with BMW, I'm going to move to Mazda. That will be the diesel Mazdas. That will be the CX-5, Atenza, and Axela diesel engines. What kind of reliability do those cars offer? So thank you guys for watching this. And as I said, my 60 subscribers, I really appreciate you guys and the feedback you are giving me. Please comment, ask me any questions you'd like. And to conclude this, if you'd ask me, was this vehicle worthwhile when I got it? In my 5 years experience, I honestly say this from the bottom of my heart. This vehicle's reliability has been a lot better than what I previously thought. It has been so much better than what people try to make it seem. Because if I compare with someone else who bought a car at the same time when I got this, a Toyota Fielder, in just 1 year of that guy owning that car, he had to change the gearbox altogether, and he had to spend about, was it 95,000 on another gearbox. So, and looking at this car, the engine has been pretty solid. The gearbox has been solid. One thing that I have not mentioned is that I went with this car everywhere. Kisumu at Dunga Beach, Nanyuki at Olpejeta Conservancy, driving in the Nairobi National Park, going to Meru, Kisii, and the fact that I've only changed front shocks on this car. Like, I checked the arm bushes, I checked the stabilizer links, I checked the tie rods. All those bushes do not have a single crack. So I'd actually say this car's suspension is among the most reliable suspensions of any car I know. Guys, give me your feedback. Thank you so much and have a nice day. Good evening, guys. So I've just finished editing the video that I took today about the BMW 3 Series, and I thought I'd make a conclusion in terms of pricing. Now, I've done a total calculation of what it has cost me to keep that car for 5 years. In this calculation, I've eliminated the obvious stuff like routine service. I've done routine services every year. I've replaced brake pads once, and I've also replaced the front shocks. I am not including this into the overall figure about what it has cost me to keep that car on the road, because this is price, this is stuff that every car will need. A Vitz will need service just like any other car. It will need brake pads. So if I do a total costing on all the breakdowns the car had, from the gearbox sump to the ignition coils to the water pump issue to the oil cooler issue, plus the 2 times it was on a flatbed, the total figure is 95,800 Kenya shillings. 95, okay, let me round it off to 96,000. So in terms, I've spent 96,000 fixing breakdowns on this BMW in the last 5 years. This does not include the yearly oil service I've done. It does not include the brake pads I've changed. It does not include all the 4 tires. And something else that I also want to note, and I've noted this while editing the video, there was a lot of wind noise and the sound was fluctuating up and down. I think next time I will try and get a microphone to be recording this with. I bought a microphone online, I think last week, but the microphone produces such a bad sound. It was, what was the name of that company? Boya, something like Boya. I didn't use it because it's so horrible. But if you guys know any microphones that I can use, please feel free to recommend them to me. And thank you. I also want to give an honorable mention to all the guys that have either supplied me parts or given me advice in terms of fixing this car. 80% on all the work that has been done on that car has been done by me. It has not been done at another workshop or anything. A lot of it has been done by me. And guys, honorable mention would be to Prof. Pelican Auto Parts in industrial area, Rain Gold Karen, that is a BMW workshop, Code Your Beamer by Kush Patel. Number 4, I'm actually going to also give an honorable mention to Chase of Autohas. Is it Autohas, in terms of bringing in parts when you need them? And Dan, there's a guy called Dan. He does not work at a BMW workshop, but he's been fixing BMWs for so long, and he also has a lot of technical knowledge on it. I guess, guys, that's it on the 3 series round of the Moneypit series. Out of 10, what would I give this car in terms of reliability? Out of 10, I am going to give it a 7.5 out of 10. And I am going to give it a 7.5 out of 10 because the major parts you need to work on a car have worked on this car. The engine is still intact. The gearbox is still intact. The suspension system has remained almost untouched that entire time. The body of this car, fortunately, I've not been in any accidents or incidences. The car is pretty much in its original paint, except for the front bumper that I had to repaint. The interior is still in pretty good shape. Nothing is torn or sagging, nothing like that. I'd say the car has held up pretty well over the years. Now, is it a Moneypit? Now, this is according to me, and I would not call this car a Moneypit at all. Actually, I'm sure if I try to do a comparison, there would be more Japanese cars that have spent more in terms of maintenance than what I have with this car at 96,000. So to me, honestly, it's been a smooth journey with this car. Considering that some of the failures also, I knew them and I kept ignoring them. So I'd say it has been a smooth experience. I'd also say have spent a lot more money on buying phones in the last 5 years than I've spent on this car. That is the funny thing, eh? We look at the big stuff and ignore the small stuff, eh? Just last year alone, I broke an iPhone 12 Pro Max, eh? It fell off and completely shattered. That phone was about 150,000 at the time, eh? So last year alone, I spent more money buying a phone than I have keeping this car for the whole 5 years. Thank you guys. Peace out.